All right, guys. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the first edition of Eron Versus. It's already been a hectic first episode. So for about 15 minutes, I did not know that nothing was happening, that nothing was going on, that nobody could hear me. And my good friend, of course, and I guess co-runner of PWPNation.com, Jay Leto, let me know that nobody could hear me. So let's take two and start from scratch here. Welcome to the first show. I feel very depleted right now because I thought I was having a very good show, and then nobody could hear it. So that's very disappointing. But I'm not going to let that affect me. We're going to keep rolling. We're going to keep going here. So welcome to the show. I'm Eron Ramadanov, editor-in-chief, PWPNation.com. You're listening to Eron Versus, the 129th incarnation of my podcast. If you know me, or you know who I am, or you're a friend of mine, you know that I've been with PWPNation.com for quite some time now. This is, a new project for myself. I've debated about coming back to live radio for a little bit of time now, and when Jay Leto brought back the Blog Talk Radio account, I saw it as a way of having no excuse not to do one. So I'm back here on live radio. This is my first love. Podcasting is fun. I do like podcasting, but there's nothing quite like live radio. There's just something different about it. There's less, I find that I get less in my head with live radio than I do with podcasting. I find podcasting to be a little more frustrating, but here I am. This is the show. If you do not know who I am, or you've never heard me and you're wondering who the heck is this guy, and why should I even care about his show? That's a great question. I don't blame you. Again, my name is Eron Ramadanov. I'm a professional wrestling fan. I like to think I'm in professional wrestling media, if that makes any sense. Some people would say that that's not a real thing, but hey, there's a bunch of guys that cover professional wrestling, and I think myself, Jay Leto, and PWP Nation is one of the best who do it. So that's why you should listen to this show. That's why you should be following PWP Nation on all social media platforms at PWP Nation, or you can just Google us. I'm sure everything will come up. I've been a professional wrestling fan since I was a child. A diehard professional wrestling fan, and I use that word vigorously and confidently. Professional wrestling. That's what's going to be covered on this program. We're going to be talking about WWE. We'll talk New Japan Pro Wrestling. We'll have interviews. We'll have interactions. We'll have discussions. We will have a bunch of different things on this show. Again, my friend Jay Leto just messaged me. This is a work in progress. We are going to test things out on this show. We're going to try different things. We're going to see how it goes. And if you have any suggestions, please let me know. You can find me on Twitter at Aaron_PWP, or you can just tweet the @PWPNation account, and I'm sure I will see it. So let's get into the show. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about here tonight, which we do have a couple of topics here. The first one we have is Ronda Rousey. I'll talk about the signing. If you've been living under a rock and you do not know that Ronda Rousey is a part of WWE, I don't know where you've been. But she is probably the hottest name in professional wrestling right now, and we'll talk about her and what the future will hold for her in WWE. We'll talk about the quote-unquote controversy between Corey Graves and Booker T. I say quote-unquote because I'll tell you why I think that might be a work, and I'll explain why I think that. We'll also talk about the Is This News segment. That is where I break down a couple of news stories and tell you if you should care about it or not. Also, we'll talk about Shelton Benjamin having a interesting interaction with a rental car. Stick around for that and why that might interest you. And then we'll finish off with thoughts for your thoughts. This will be a topic that I will throw out to you, that I'll want your opinion on, and you'll have to let me know on Twitter at Aaron_PWP. It'll usually be a discussion point of something that is not being discussed in professional wrestling that should be discussed. So we'll talk about that as well. So let's get right into it. Ronda Rousey, now a WWE superstar. What does the future hold for her, and what exactly are we going to see from Ronda Rousey? We've got some people claiming that she is a full-time competitor, full-time performer, full-time superstar. Some people are already complaining that she hasn't been around. Listen, everybody, she's filming a movie. Calm down, okay? It's going to be all right. She'll be back. I'm sure she'll be back in time for WrestleMania. That's another point here, is what will she be doing at WrestleMania? What is going to be her match? Is she going to have a segment? Is she going to be fighting for a championship? We have so much to dissect. First thing I want to talk about with Ronda Rousey, though, is does it make sense for WWE to throw who knows how much money at her and bring her in and have her pretty much be the face of your women's division? And the funny thing that I was thinking about earlier today was you have Ronda Rousey, who's probably going to be the face of your women's division, and you have Brock Lesnar, who's probably the face of your men's division. Interesting that both guys, and well, actually both superstars, are mixed martial arts specialists. I understand that Brock Lesnar was in WWE before he went to UFC. But again, both superstars, both competitors are UFC, I don't want to say grown talent, but when people see them, they usually think mixed martial arts first, as far as a casual fan is concerned. Wrestling fans, yes, I would say wrestling fans consider Brock Lesnar to be one of our own. But to a casual fan, to a mainstream audience, Ronda Rousey's a guy. I don't know why. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. But both superstars are UFC synonymous competitors. They're both identifiable with UFC. And you know, from a broad perspective, from taking a step back and trying to see, you know, what does that say about WWE? What does that say about the type of product they want to put forward? What does that say about the type of company they are? And I think it shows that they have really put an investment forward. They've really put their best foot forward to try and make this women's division something worthwhile. Now, I'm not saying that before Ronda Rousey got here that, you know, this division had nothing going for it, or it was struggling, or anything like that. I'm not saying that. There are plenty of talented women within the women's division right now without Ronda Rousey. Definitely goes to show that bringing in someone like Ronda Rousey will definitely help the women's division. It adds a certain credibility to them. It adds a certain legitimacy to them. It gives them a more mainstream appeal, and it gives them, you know, somebody who is believable, who a casual fan can watch the program and say, hey, that Ronda Rousey chick, she's a legitimate badass. I wouldn't fuck with her. I would even be afraid of her as a man. If you can get casual fans to think that way, you'll get people to spend money on seeing her. That will happen. It's proven in UFC. She'll also add a huge demographic of women. She has single-handedly, and you know, I really want people to hear me on this. She has single-handedly made women's mixed martial arts, before Ronda Rousey came along, you know, wasn't treating their women very well. Didn't believe that they could draw on a national level. Didn't believe that they could main event pay-per-views, big pay-per-views. And Ronda Rousey came along and changed that. And that's something that cannot be denied, cannot be refuted. That is stone cold, hard facts. But at the same time, WWE is fully aware of that, and they know that. And, you know, I'm probably, some people are not going to like this, but you could argue Ronda Rousey is one of the biggest reasons why WWE even had a quote-unquote women's evolution, whatever they're calling it now. One of the biggest reasons why WWE moved away from divas and into women competitors or women superstars is because of Ronda Rousey. You asked me, Aaron, you know, how's that possible? What are you talking about? She wasn't even in WWE. She has nothing to do with WWE when she became a big star in the UFC. She, again, as I was saying before, she made it okay for women to main event in UFC. She added a certain level of legitimacy to women's MMA. And she became a national and global star at the highest level as a woman. And that's still big in 2018, folks. In WWE, they had that same mentality that UFC had. The women can't draw. The women can't main event. The women can't produce the same level of entertainment that the men can. That was their mindset. And now you have women's Royal Rumbles. You have women Elimination Chambers, Money in the Bank. You have them main eventing Raw, pay-per-views. You have the main event Royal Rumble. They finished the show. They closed the show. And that's not possible without Ronda Rousey. None of it. Sasha and Bayley, Charlotte, all these women, they should be paying a debt of gratitude to Ronda Rousey. I'm not saying they should get on their hands and knees and thank her for being alive, thank her for doing everything she's done, but women who are, quote-unquote, jealous or going after her on Twitter, I don't know how legitimate that is either. That might be a work as well. But if some women in that division are upset at Ronda Rousey or have resentment toward her, you're aiming it in the totally wrong direction. She is the sole purpose that you've gotten a new label, that you've gotten a new title, that you've gotten a better division, that you've gotten longer matches. She is one of the biggest reasons for that, because she made it okay. She made it okay for women in combat sports to be at the top of the card, the top selling point, the top draw. She made that okay. And of course, you have other women within the sports world. The women's soccer team in the World Cup a couple of years ago definitely contributed to that as well. Tennis, Serena Williams. A lot of these athletes have contributed to what the women are doing in WWE right now, and one of the biggest reasons is Ronda Rousey. Now, as far as her in-ring ability, can she work? Can she get in there and put on a Bayley, Sasha, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Asuka type match? Can she do that? Right now, probably not. No, she probably can't do that. And she doesn't need to do that. That's the thing. That's the key here. Is everybody's asking, can she put on a great match? Can she close a show? Can she main event? Yes, she can do all of that. She's not going to work 20-minute matches. She's not going to have some kind of back-and-forth wrestling clinic with Sasha Banks or Bayley or any of these women, but she's going to be protected, just like Braun Strowman. Just like Braun Strowman, where her strengths amplify them and hide the weaknesses. That's perfectly okay. That's perfectly fine for somebody like Ronda Rousey, who has the drawing ability, who has the name notoriety, who people know her. They know Ronda Rousey. And she's going to be a huge benefit for the women's division. She's going to be a huge benefit. She's going to get more eyes on the other women in the division. She's going to allow WWE to treat them more seriously, to give them longer matches, to give them more credible storylines. She's going to do so much for this division that the women inside it don't even realize it yet. And her microphone ability, nobody really knows. I will say that's the only concern I have with Ronda Rousey is her microphone ability. Is she going to be able to cut promos? Is she going to be able to connect with fans at home? Wrestling fans and mixed martial arts, even though some people like to lump them together, even though PWPNation.com covers both, they're two different animals. Wrestling fans and mixed martial arts fans are two different fan bases. They're not the same. Wrestling fans, in my opinion, are much more harsh. They care about promos. They care about things making sense. They care about legitimacy. They care about things feeling real. Suspend my disbelief. Make me believe. Can Ronda Rousey do any of that? Can she suspend my disbelief? Can she make me believe that she is a legitimate badass? I know that already, but she's got to make me believe it. Because if I'm a fan who's never seen her, who has no idea who Ronda Rousey is, why should I care? Why should I care? And is she going to be able to make me care? That's the key here. Is Ronda Rousey going to make me care? And, something I've talked about this to other people, and everyone kind of has this idea. Everyone knows it's a good idea. That's why. I think she needs a mouthpiece. I think she needs Paul Heyman. I think Paul Heyman needs to be by her side. I know Paul Heyman has talked about in the past that he doesn't want to work with anybody else but Brock Lesnar. That's perfectly understandable. I can totally understand that. Paul Heyman has reached a point in his life where he is comfortable. He's comfortable coming to Raw, standing out in the ring with Brock Lesnar, and cutting a 5-minute promo and going home. He's perfectly okay with that. Whereas with Ronda Rousey, it'll be a lot of work. He'll have to work with her. He'll have to teach her. It won't be the same as Brock. Brock already knows what he's doing. Brock is comfortable. Brock is somebody who, can go out there and just go through the motions and still feel believable. Brock Lesnar's been doing that for over a year. He's been doing that. I don't necessarily know if Ronda Rousey's going to work out. I don't know. And nobody knows. The key here is, and I'm going to be interested to see what happens with Ronda Rousey in this respect. And this is probably the most concerning thing. Besides the microphone ability, this is probably the most concerning piece of information that I have on her. And that is, will she be able to live up to the pressure? To the pressure of remembering her spots and, remembering the finish, working through, mixed martial arts. Remember, folks, I think everybody already knows this. It's not scripted. There's no moves you have to know, or you're just going out there and you're fighting, and it's a big chess match, and you're trying to figure out what your opponent's going to do, but there's no controlled chaos there. There needs to be a controlled chaos, and that's what WWE is all about. It's controlled chaos. It's looking like it's real, but it's all scripted. It's all fake. I know people hate to hear that word fake, but that's what it is, guys. I'm a fan of it too, and I can admit that. So is she going to be able to translate to this new world? Is she going to be able to do everything? And is she going to be able to live up to the pressure? Again, the pressure from Vince McMahon, from Triple H, from the fans, from herself. She's an incredibly determined person. Is she going to be able to live up to that pressure? And we've seen what's happened to her in the UFC when the pressure gets too high. She crumbles. She goes away. She disappears. Is that going to happen in WWE? That's the question. Is that going to happen in WWE where she can't handle the backstage politics mixed in with the scrutiny from the fans, mixed in with the scrutiny from herself, mixed in with the scrutiny from Vince McMahon? Is she going to be able to deal with all of that? Is she going to be able to do that? That's the biggest question I have about her. Is she going to crumble? Is she going to fade away? Is this going to be a one-time thing where she thought this was something she wanted to do, and then she realized it's too hard? She just can't do it. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying I'm interested to see if that happens. So Ronda Rousey is an interesting case here. She's somebody who I don't necessarily know what's going to happen. As far as WrestleMania is concerned, it's going to be very interesting to see where she's matched up and where she's paired up with. I think she's going to be somebody who is going to be in a premier match. She's going to be somebody who is definitely going to be featured heavily, is going to be asked to do a lot of different things within WWE. And I'm going to be interested to see what she's going to do at WrestleMania. And that brings me to the next point on this discussion, is what's going to happen at Mania? What's she going to do? There's rumors of her and Stephanie McMahon possibly having a match. There's rumors of her tag teaming with a Braun Strowman or The Rock, going up against Triple H and Stephanie. There's rumors of her versus Charlotte, her versus Asuka, her versus Alexa Bliss. There's so many different angles you could take with Ronda Rousey going into WrestleMania. In my opinion, in something that, if I'm booking the show and I have all these options, I'm going with Stephanie McMahon. And I know some people don't want to hear that. Some people don't want Stephanie McMahon on their television. I'm probably one of those people. I agree. I've had enough of Stephanie McMahon on my television. I agree with you. That makes the most sense. It does. It's the biggest match you can have. If you're going to book Ronda Rousey for WrestleMania, you need to have the biggest match you possibly can. And Stephanie McMahon versus Ronda Rousey is that match. On a global level, on a casual fan basis, that is the biggest match you can have. I'm okay with a tag team match as well. If you want to do Ronda Rousey and The Rock versus Triple H and Stephanie, I'm okay with that too. I'm okay with Braun Strowman and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie. You're giving Braun Strowman an incredible rub being in the ring with Triple H, Ronda Rousey, Stephanie McMahon. It's putting him in a big spot. I'm okay with all those scenarios. I'm also okay with her versus Charlotte. If that's something they want to do as well, Charlotte has that name recognition of a Flair. They can definitely build around that storyline. Ric Flair's daughter versus Ronda Rousey. That's a big match, and that can be marketed as a big match. You can also do Asuka, the woman who just won the Royal Rumble and is undefeated. Big match as well. I don't know if it'll connect on a casual fan basis. Will people care about Asuka? I don't know. But that's another big match. You can do so many different things with Ronda Rousey. It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how she develops, how she gets better. She's fresh. She's brand new. She just started this. She's been training at the Performance Center for a couple of months, I believe. But that's about it, folks. That's all she's done. So she is fresh. She is fresh into the business. This is brand new to her. So it's going to be interesting, folks. It's definitely going to be something to watch. I'm going to be watching with bated breath, and we'll see what happens. So that is the Ronda Rousey story. When we come back from this break, I will talk about Corey Graves and Booker T, quote-unquote controversy that is that's very interesting. And I'll tell you why I might think it's the work. So stick around after the break. We'll be right back. All right, folks, we're back here. This is Aaron Versus on the PWP Nation Podcasting Network. I'm so happy that you're joining me. I really am. I'm utterly delighted. If you are joining me live, I appreciate that. I appreciate you taking the time out of your night to listen to me babble about professional wrestling. If you want to catch the podcast, if you missed the first 40 minutes of the show, 15 of those minutes were not recorded. Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties at the very beginning. We're back rolling now. We're compressed. that first. We're going to keep that work in progress, only a work in progress here. We just talked about Ronda Rousey. If you want to hear that, if you want to hear my thoughts on the Ronda Rousey signing by WWE, you can catch all of that on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, pwpnation.com, and, of course, blogtalkradio.com. Now, another big story, I guess you can call it a big story. I mean, I guess it is Corey Graves and Booker T. Now, if you don't know what's going on, this is a little insider stuff, a little bit insider. So we'll talk a little bit about it. If some people don't know what I'm talking about, you got to look into it. It's definitely an interesting story and something that I'm finding very interesting on the basis that I think it might be a work, folks. I think it might be a work. Look, do I think Booker T and Corey Graves have legitimate animosity toward each other? Yeah, maybe a little bit. Maybe they probably don't like each other very much. I'm sure Booker doesn't appreciate all the constant digs that he got from Corey Graves on commentary. I'm sure he doesn't appreciate that. But do I think that Booker T is actually going to beat up Corey Graves if he sees him? No, I don't think that. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Booker T would jeopardize his career or his life for someone like Corey Graves. And I don't think Corey Graves necessarily cares enough about Booker T to put his own career in jeopardy as well. So, I don't think anything's going to happen here. I don't think they're going to, fight in the street or anything like that. I do think there's some legit, animosity between the two. There has to be. I mean, if you listen to commentary the last year or so, however long Booker T's been on Raw commentary, he and Corey just didn't mesh. They just didn't go together. And if you're not familiar with what the story is, so basically Booker T got removed from commentary, according to him, because people backstage could sense that Booker T was going to beat up Corey Graves if he kept digging at him each and every week. Now, I don't know how much I believe that. I think it's more of WWE officials just thinking Booker T is not very good on commentary. And they had an opportunity at getting Jonathan Coachman. They took it, and they switched him out. That's, I think, what happened. I think the timing of it was just coincidental. I don't think that because it was getting more and more heated over the last couple of weeks, I don't think that's what happened. I don't think they pulled the trigger on this because they had to do it. I think they had an opportunity at signing. Booker T is going to be doing his pre-show stuff, which is fine. That's where Booker T is best. Keep him on the pre-show. I've never had anything against Booker T, the person. I always thought he was a great performer. I always thought, he could have his moments on commentary where he could be very good. Sometimes he had his good moments, and he had a lot of bad ones. I will fully admit that. I don't think anybody's disputing that Booker T is not necessarily the most polished broadcaster. When I think of polished broadcaster, I don't think of Booker T. But at the same time, this story is just weird because I don't understand what Corey Graves and Michael Cole, what their goals were here. I mean, listen. Let's say myself and Jay Leto, who's the founder of PWP Nation, the owner, and John Demiselli. Let's say us three are going to be doing a live broadcast of a wrestling show. And we're going to have to be around each other every week for 3 hours, every Monday for 3 hours, no breaks. You can't leave the desk because you're there. You're broadcasting a live program. And I'm sure they have to travel together to go to the next town. They see each other at the hotel. They see each other backstage. I'm sure they're sick of each other by now, those three guys. I'm sure. They have to be. And I'm sure I'd get sick of Jay and JCD. I'm sure that would happen. When you're around people for that long, 3 hours every week, and sometimes more, Corey's doing every fucking show they have. I'm sure you get sick of each other. My only thing was with this, I never quite understood why Corey and Michael Cole went so hard at Booker T for. I just don't understand the logic. If me and Jay and JCD are doing a program, why am I going to intentionally discredit Jay or JCD? Why am I going to do that? Why am I going to, on national television, am I going to undermine the credibility of each one of those guys when they're my partner? They're supposed to be there with me, and we're supposed to help each other. My only criticism of Corey Graves and Michael Cole is that you could have been a little easier on him. You could have protected him a little bit more. I just think it got to the point where Booker would, and listen, like I said, Booker had his moments. He had very bad moments, and sometimes those moments lasted an hour. But at the same time, you've got to protect your guys. You've got to protect your partners. You've got to protect your coworkers. You've got to. You're in it together. You're working together every week on a program. You have to work together. So in the end, this whole story is just weird to me. It's just weird. I do think Corey went too hard at Booker sometimes. I do. And I think it got really uncomfortable sometimes. I would be watching Raw, and I would be wondering, are these guys okay? Like, are they gonna fight right here on the air? Because there was just so much tension and animosity between the two that it would literally take away from the in-ring action. I would literally be focusing on the commentary team more than I would be in the actual in-ring action. And the commentator is supposed to be pushing the action. That's what they're there for. That's what they're there for. They're not there to have a feud with each other. They're not there to dig at each other. They're not there to try to cut each other up and try to make each other laugh. That's what it seemed like Michael Cole and Graves were doing a lot of the time. We're just trying to pop each other. And at some point, it gets old. And I'm sure Booker was sick of it. Every week, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine going to work every week, every day, and being cut down on national television every single week, sometimes when you didn't even deserve it. You didn't even do anything wrong. So in the end, this whole story is just weird to me. I'm sure Booker will be fine. I'm sure Corey's going to be fine. And listen, let me just talk about Corey Graves for a second, because I'm about to get hot about it, and I don't want to get hot about it, because Corey Graves is not worth getting hot about. But Corey Graves pissed me off a little bit. Am I the only one? I think he's so – there's just this smugness to him that pisses me off. Like he's God's gift to commentary. He's the best commentator to ever live. And I think it's getting to his head a little bit. You know why I think that? Because if you go back, go to PWP Nation's Twitter account, go to PWP Nation on Twitter, at PWP Nation, you'll find a clip. Of Booker T, Scott Stanford, David Otunga, and Corey Graves on the Raw pre-show. And Scott Stanford, the host at the time, was going after Booker T for 2 straight weeks, went after him. Some kind of underhanded dig that Booker T did not take liking to on that, again, national television or whatever it was, on YouTube, WWE Network, whatever. In front of people. Cut him down. And guess who defended him? Guess who came to the aid of Booker T? Corey Graves. That was when Corey Graves just started commentary. That's when he just started being on Raw, being on SmackDown, being one of their biggest color guys in the last 10 years. I will agree, Corey Graves is a very good commentator. But I think it's getting to his head a little bit. I think he thinks he's God's gift to commentary, is what I think. And I think he needs to humble himself a little bit. I think he is in the wrong here. I think Booker obviously doesn't have the right to threaten Corey Graves. But at the same time, I'm with Booker on this. I think Corey went after Booker for no reason sometimes. I think Corey is, and again, I think Corey is the best commentator. I think he's a fine commentator. He does a very good job. He works hard. I don't deny any of that. But to act like he's Bobby Heenan or Jesse Ventura or Jerry Lawler, no. Not even in the same category. Not even in the same discussion is he in the categories with those guys. Not even close. He's not even Tony Schiavone. He's not a Mike Tenay. He's none of those guys. He's not even a Mark Madden. Well, I don't want to talk about Mark Madden. We'll leave that one alone. But you get my point. Corey Graves is not some kind of God's gift to commentary. That's not who he is. And for him to act like that towards somebody like Booker T, who is a Hall of Famer, who is somebody who is respected across the business and is somebody who is one of the greatest of all time. For Corey Graves to go after Booker T like that on commentary each and every week, just a little disappointing. It is. And again, my last point on this, and I'll move on after this. People can't forget the old man has something to do with this. The old man back there on that headset, grumpy underneath his breath, talking. He's got a little part of this as well. Don't forget about that. Vince McMahon is a huge part in why Booker T is not in commentary anymore. And I think a lot of the times, maybe about half the time, I bet you it's Vince McMahon feeding lines to Corey Graves, going after Booker T. And I'm sure it's encouraged, and I'm sure that Michael Cole and Kevin Dunn and Vince McMahon are all in on the joke. It's all hilarious going after Booker T. They're popping themselves. They want to pop each other. Oh, let's make fun of Booker T again. When he didn't even do anything wrong. He didn't even say anything. You don't give him enough time to say anything anyway. All right. Well, that's that. Now let's move on to another segment called Is This News? Is this something you should concern yourself with? Is this something that's even shouldn't even cross your mind? Should it even be part of your day? Should you take it as literal news? And I had a clip ready too. I was gonna, listen, folks, a lot of technical difficulties tonight. I'm still trying to figure out how to use Blog Talk Radio again. It's been a while. Okay. I had a great. I'm gonna try it. We'll see how it goes. I'll try the clip, and we'll see what happens. But the first piece of news here is CM Punk. CM Punk. I know. You might not want to hear about him. You might not want to talk about him, but we're going to talk about him. Ariel Helwani of MMAfighting.com is reporting that the UFC is in talks to book CM Punk versus Mike Jackson at UFC 225 in Chicago. That show will take place this June. By the time the fight rolls around, Punk will be nearly 2.5 years removed from his loss to Mickey Gall at UFC 203. Punk did not land a strike and was dominated in seconds of that fight. Punk indicated that he wanted to fight again, but Dana White was not sure if he has changed his tune in the last several months. Punk is 0-1 in mixed martial arts. Jackson is also 0-1, and this is his first MMA loss was to Mickey Gall as well. It'll be a who's better than each other, who's lost to Mickey Gall. That's basically what this is. So again, it has not been confirmed. Dana White has denied that this fight has been confirmed or has been signed. But obviously, Dana White is not necessarily the most credible person when it comes to this type of news. So the question is, folks, is this news? Yeah, it's news. It's news. I mean, CM Punk fighting again is news. No matter how much I want him to wither away into the distant memories of my professional wrestling life, he is still around and he's still kicking, man. You know what? If you know me and you know who I am, and you follow me in the PWP Nation Facebook group, and you know my opinions on stuff, I'm not the biggest fan of CM Punk. I think that's no secret. But hey, I can't. Hey, this guy's going to come back and fight again. I mean, that's on national television, on national pay-per-view, global pay-per-view, to someone like Mickey Gall, who's turned into quite a good fighter now. Hey, it was embarrassing, and he's going to bounce back, and he's going to come fight again. And that's, hey, say what you will about him, but he's definitely not afraid to come back and he's not afraid to come back and fight again. So it's going to be interesting to see CM Punk versus Mike Jackson, UFC 225. Be on the lookout for that. The next piece of news: Baron Corbin is popular in Kansas City, apparently. So apparently this past week on SmackDown television, Baron Corbin was was intentionally not put on television because he was too popular. WWE apparently pulled him from the show. He was part of a dark match where he teamed up with Jinder Mahal to go up against AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. Apparently, Baron Corbin received the loudest. Corbin is not from Kansas City, but he has a lot of ties to Missouri, as he is a two-time amateur Kansas City Golden Glove regional champion, and he also played offensive guard for Northwest Missouri State University in NCAA Division II. He was an honorable mention in 2007 and 2008 in the MIAAA division. I have no idea what any of that is, but apparently he's a big deal. Now the question is this news? Is it news that WWE kept Baron Corbin off of SmackDown because he was, let me just get really close to my mic here, he was too popular? Interesting. This is really groundbreaking news stuff here, guys. This is breaking news. I don't know if it's breaking news, but it's definitely...
You are fake news.
See, it cut out. See, I knew it. I knew it wasn't ready. I tried it, guys. I tried. I'll bring it back next week. That was Donald Trump saying this is fake news. So let's move on here. The next piece of news we got here is Jason Jordan's neck injury. So a lot of things have been happening with Jason Jordan as of late. His wife is apparently not very happy with the reports that have been coming out from Dave Meltzer and other reporters saying that Jason Jordan could be out from anywhere to a year with a neck injury. Apparently, WWE has been updating people. Apparently, WWE.com has confirmed that Jordan did indeed have neck surgery earlier this week, and it was reportedly a success. Here's a quote from Dr. Joseph Maroon. He had an injury to a disc in his neck, which resulted in significant pain that was refractory toward all conservative measures. It was decided to do a minimally invasive operation to decompress the nerve and allow it to heal. So apparently he underwent a minimally invasive surgery, but it's not known for how long he's going to be out. So it could be anywhere from a couple of months, a couple of weeks, to anywhere to a year. So it's really just too early to tell. Now the question is this news? Yeah, this is definitely news. Somebody who they've built around, that they've tried to elevate to a main event level, having long, elongated matches with guys like Roman Reigns and John Cena, and these, he has been positioned to be a star in the future. They've definitely been trying to do that. Now, this is a huge blow to his career. It is. If he's gone for a year, I don't necessarily know what they're going to do with him. If they're going to just completely take him off television, or if they're going to keep him on television. It's going to be interesting to see if he's out for a year, what they're going to now do with Seth Rollins, who apparently was scheduled to face Jason Jordan at WrestleMania. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him. As far as Jason Jordan is concerned, I don't know if this is going to be a good thing for him. Some people are saying taking him off TV would actually be a good thing for him. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, he's starting to, gain some level of popularity, with the WWE fans. I mean, they don't hate him as much as they once did, which is, that's a win in my book. So I don't necessarily know what's going to happen with Jason Jordan. It'll be interesting to see what exactly they do with him, how they explain it on television, and what's going to happen now with Seth Rollins. So that is that, and that was Is This News? So we're going to take one more quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show, and we'll talk a little bit more about thoughts or your thoughts. All right, folks, we are back here for the final minute of Eron Versus. I just want to say I appreciate everyone who listens. I'm forever indebted to you. I hope you join me next week, Thursday at 8:30, maybe 9. We'll see. We're still trying to work out the kinks of the time, 9 or 8:30. We're still debating that, but we will be back next Thursday. Make sure you follow me at Aaron_PWP, PWPNation.com for all your pro wrestling needs. Again, I appreciate everyone who's listening, whether it's live or on podcast. And the one thing I want to leave you guys with, and this is thoughts for your thoughts. Will The Undertaker be back for WrestleMania? That's something I want to know. I want a yes or a no. Tweet me at Aaron_PWP. Tweet me. Let me know what you think. Will he be back to WrestleMania? And who's he going to face? I want a yes or a no and who he's going to face. Tweet me at Aaron_PWP. This was Eron Versus, and I'll see you guys next week.
Introducing McDonald's new $1, $2, $3 menu with favorites for $1, $2, or $3. So now you can save for
a weekend getaway with the husband and kids?
Sure.
Especially if we leave the kids at home.
With Grandma, of course. Build whatever meal you want with favorites on McDonald's new $1, $2, $3 menu.
Now you can get any size soft drink for just $1, a sausage McGriddles for only $2, and a classic chicken sandwich for just $3. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.